Welcome back to Soccer Cards United. It's episode 269 of the greatest soccer card podcast in the world. My name is Jason. That's Enzo. Hello, Enzo. What's on the show today?
Hey, Jason. Today, it's a short one, first of all. Sorry, guys. I know you're under the weather over there. I'll give you an update on how the London Card Show went this weekend. Your sickness resulted in you not being there and some cross. That's a better one, instead of cross plans. We're going to take a look at the return of Top Showtime, which did feature in London and will feature at the Dublin Card Show. And then, Jason, a big swing from Beckett on their way down.
Wow. Sounds very exciting. Let's hear that music. Okay, Enzo, as you said, I wasn't in London this weekend. You were. Being sick wasn't originally the reason why I didn't go, but it did quickly become the reason why I was glad I wasn't there. And people might hear some kind of raspiness in my voice, so I apologize for that in advance. But how was the London Card Show last weekend?
Yeah, it was a fantastic show again. They had the downstairs, the upstairs. It's the second show where they did that. It seemed to be a lot more successful this time, so they've obviously learned from the last one. I think they had some struggling to get foot traffic into downstairs last time, but this time, because I accidentally almost walked downstairs when I was entering the venue, Jason, such as my kind of rustiness, it was definitely full and flowing down there, so I don't think there was any negativity in that regard. We had a great time at the show. It was only two of us. It was difficult. I know you and Faye held it down on the Saturday last time.
Yeah.
And without
no mean feat.
Yeah, without too much difficulty, but it was tough going. Particularly because I thought the show started at 9:30 for VIPs, but actually it was 9. So that's not great. Jason, the first day we arrived and we had forgot the Zion case. So we took a total of 14 taxis between our trip from Dublin to London and back. The total trip was 14 taxis.
You went back and got the Zion case?
Yeah, sent my brother back, so I held down the show solo. Because we had 3 tables and all the singles were planned out they were all perfectly in the Zion case. We're never that organised. Thankfully, I had a load of cards I was going to co-sign with TradeWe, so I started lashing them on the table and said, look, what sells. It's not going into the marquee auction. I'm sorry. I need to fill this table. So that wasn't fantastic. But yeah, after that speed bump, Jason, after that little hiccup, it was a great show. It was a great show. There was a lot of different faces there this time. I would say a lot more European internationals. There was Americans floating around the room. A lot of familiar faces, of course. Sold a good few high-end cards that doesn't necessarily normally, like a few 4-figure deals done, which isn't always the case. Like, and in fairness, probably could have got more done, but I specifically didn't bring a lot of them. I brought a lot of our kind of lower end, kind of 20
traditionally moves.
Yeah, basically, like 90% of what I brought was Premier League stuff, which we don't normally do either in London, because I've recently been organising cards, Jason. They're all in these perfect little, you've seen it, the little dividers.
Yes.
So it was handy for me to just grab the Premier League box and start flicking through, going, what's good, what'll I bring, what'll do well. But then a lot of people were looking for Serie A, a lot of people looking for Barcelona stuff, and I didn't have a lot of that with me. I had some of it, but not a lot. I was like, oh, come on, guys. But it is that kind of a cross-national pollination, whatever, what's going on here. But a few 4-figure deals done, a good few boxes sold, as always. My difficulty at London is always just the social aspect, especially when there's 2 people. Like, a lot of people chatting to me all the time, which I love, but it's also like I can't get away from the table. Like, there was a lot of people saying, float over to my table, do this, come over to my table and buy this, I have a card for you, this, that, and the other. And it was just like just 2 of us. And like I knew the singles inside out. My brother doesn't, because he doesn't normally do the shows. He knew the boxes, so I really couldn't leave him. So like that's the only difficulty in London for me, and that's obviously a specific problem to a lot of people complimenting the podcast.
That's a problem if you're an industry mover and shaker like yourself.
If you're an influencer like myself, guys. Yeah, but there was a lot of compliments on the podcast. A lot of grief. I had to face the brunt of a lot of grief for our delayed start to 2025.
Oh,
Jason.
Yeah, extended hiatus.
I had to take that, on the chin. A lot of people saying, "What the hell? Where have you been? What's been going on? You took a long time. You just about got one out in January." And I said, "I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry to be." I had to deal with a lot.
I appreciate you having to deal with all that. Like, I hope you threw me under the bus at every available opportunity.
I did my best. Yeah. But no, it was a fantastic weekend. They actually recently announced as well that from May onwards, they're going to be doing a 3-day show. It's going to be a Friday, a Saturday, Sunday. The Friday will just be down in the small hall that we initially started in back in the day. Yeah. So it's just there. So he, again, scaling it very, very sustainably, I would say, Harry.
So just to interrupt there for a second. So anyone who doesn't know, whether you be in America or you're somewhere else, you haven't been to the London Card Show, they're in this venue, Sandown Park Racecourse, and they were in a smaller kind of event space, and then they moved up to a bigger one, and then they kind of slowly kind of expanded throughout that room and kind of made it even bigger. And then they added a TCG floor in what was the original room. So when you were saying 2 floors, the bottom floor is TCGs and then the top floor is a mix.
Yeah.
And so now you're telling me there's going to be another day, but the first day is going to just be in the old events.
I think Friday is going to be a mix now. and it's going to be downstairs in that kind of hall, and it'll be 100 tables. It'll be obviously a smaller kind of mixer kind of vibe, but obviously I'd say imagine with the plan of getting to a Friday where it's upstairs, downstairs. You know, they expand it super sustainably. But I honestly think that might be the first UK or European 3-day show. Is that right? That might be.
I can't think of any other European show. Because obviously it's the logistics. I mean, like we know ourselves as erstwhile card show planners that the idea of doing a Friday event as well, because obviously your domestic market and everybody, your international market, people are in work, people are in college or in school, whatever it may be. So a Friday is not everyone's free on a Friday.
No.
So it's a kind of a big swing. But if any organization in Europe in terms of card show is big enough to do it, London is the one that's big enough to do it.
Yeah, we obviously know like the National is a 5-day event and stuff like that. So like if you're thinking long term. That's kind of it's kind of crazy to think of even a 5-day event because we're flying to America. It's a real holiday, but it's like, what are all these people doing during these 5 days? Are they not in work? It gets confusing. It's like, it's actually a bit mad to do 5 days, you know?
Well, I guess it's your hobby. So you're taking time off work to go the same way you take time off to go golfing or something.
Yeah. So there you go. It was a top show. A lot of fun, a lot of deals done. Bought a lot of amazing PC cards that I wish I had to hand. They're actually downstairs. But you'd have seen them on social media, Jason. I got the red dual autograph from Chrome of Gattuso and Roy Keane. Bought
a card that we've been admiringly looking at for a long time.
Great to have the red as well. Like, the only thing missing is a super. So because people always try to sell us kind of the base version of that card or the orange or whatever it is. I don't even know if there's a base, but it's kind of a tough one to say no to.
Yeah, I've only seen the orange in person, actually.
Yeah, maybe there's no base. I don't know. But we got that unexpectedly by someone that was actually on our island who was like, who do you support? And I said, AC Milan. They said, I have something for you. And I seen it and said, you do indeed have something for me.
Yeah,
I like Roy Keane.
You've wandered into a perfect card there, yeah.
Perfect, yeah. And there was a few other bits. I bought an Endrick Gold Flood from Obsidian to 10, which was also bought, Jace, that very fair market price. I think around $600 roughly.
Right.
So that's it. That's a roll of the dice on two things. One, grading, which could really help it. Or two, just Endrick, you know.
Well, we were just, I think, on last week's podcast, we were looking at the Prism Cup America 1-of-1. We were kind of admiringly talking about Endrick, and we were saying, you know, if he starts going well, there's a lot of upside there. So you backed yourself in that opinion.
I'm keeping it in dollars just because I know we have a lot of American listeners that will appreciate it. For about $400, Jason, I got an of 5 Busquets auto from Inception and a jewel of 10 red Kaká Pirlo auto from Inception.
Both so for $400
together. 400. It was £360, so about $400.
Very good price.
And I sold for £100. I sold the Busquets to our good friend Ben, who I'm sure will sell that for £200. He is an absolute killer.
Ben wouldn't have bought it unless there was a margin.
No, but Ben came up and like heard about the great deal that I did and said, "So you're way up. Oh, you'll sell that one, don't you?" And he's like, I'll get a cut of this. Brilliant man. But yeah, so I'm in that jewel for about $300. I think a PSA 10 of it sold for $1,800 recently. So to be honest, as much as I might PC that card, I'm gonna grade it first. I'll make a decision after that.
Yeah. You can PC the 9 that comes back.
Yeah, no, because to be honest, I feel like I bought the Roy Keane Gattuso a little bit high, considering it was a cash deal. Like I should have got a bigger discount on it. We got that for about $300, which to be honest was a good price. But I think one on eBay was listed at a similar price. And then the Endrick was a bit risky. So I kind of like the idea of grading the jewel, selling the jewel, and being covered on everything, you know?
Yes, that pays for the whole lot.
That's a good deal. I found some Roy Keane cards, Jason, from Merlin back in the day for €2 a piece. So I got them for the Dublin card show.
Excellent.
Merlin Gold. They look brilliant. To be honest, you might want to keep them, but £2 each. Got a deal on them as well. Got a bit lower because I bought a little stack. But no, I had towards the end of the show, I did a bit of wheeling and dealing. I went to a few tables, had a bit of fun. Good. But it was a successful show. Very hard as a two-man band, though. Very, very hard as a two-man band. Just for
three tables
and bathrooms and just busyness. And my brother obviously didn't know all the singles, so he was always wanting to stay on the wax, and it was just a bit choppy change. And people just chatting to us as well made it a bit harder again. Yeah. But it was a great time.
Excellent. I mean, like, I think it is kind of card show season at the moment. We certainly know that. With Dublin card show coming up. And I think it's good to hear that people are kind of buying and selling, partly because it's easier. We certainly notice it's easier to buy and sell with confidence if you have a few dates in your diary coming up. Because if it's like, well, I'm at this show now and I don't know if I'm going to be at another show for 6 months, it's like I don't necessarily want to, you know, move this or buy it or whatever. But when you know it's like, right, I'm in London, then I'm in Dublin, then I might go to Germany, then I might go to the States. I understand, by the way, that's not everybody and that's not most people, but just if you're kind of if you're deep in, then it's like it's easier to buy and sell because you're like, right, okay, some shows I may take a risk. Some shows I may be way up, but over the course of a card show season, you know, I'll do all right. So it's exciting to hear that people are kind of like throwing themselves in with both barrels. That's a mixed metaphor.
Jason, you would have hated this. You know, Will, our good friend Will, who he's now working, I think,
sure
at
I do, yeah.
Trading. Will come up to me and he had done a deal off somewhere else for essentially a 2-row, like a big 2-row, like what you bought, full of cards. And they were all Chelsea cards, right?
Right.
And he was claiming to be in them for like $2,000 roughly, right?
Okay.
And he brought them over to me and Gus from Grails by Gus. Mm-hmm. And he was like, look, lads, I just want to do a quick flip on this. Someone's after walking up. I'm after buying it off them. I want to do a quick flip. And we looked at it, but it was like really good stuff. So much so, Jason, that for the first time ever at a card show, I sat down with a calculator in my hand at a space on our table, went through all about 200 cards with the calculator saying, like, what do I think I could get for them? And is it worth buying?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Now, there was about 2 or 3 1-on-1s in there. There was a lot of 5 selects. There was a lot of Color Blasts. There was Kabooms. There was a dual autograph Prism 1-on-1.
So this is someone who was just liquidating their collection.
I think it was someone that bought into a lot of Chelsea breaks, had a lot of cards that he didn't want from them. Because, Jason, here was what ultimately led me to not doing the thing, was that they were all players that weren't at Chelsea anymore. Because obviously Chelsea has had such a merry-go-round that it was like, right, there's about 15 Timo Werner autos here, but how hard will that be to sell?
Who's buying them now? Yeah, gets confused. Yeah.
Basically, it was tough. So I went through it because I still thought I was thinking like £10. I went low on a lot of them, £10, £10, £20, £10. But it was like a lot of Mason Mount.
Even being conservative.
Yeah, Mason Mount rookie patch autos from Museum. There was Billy Gilmore rookie patch auto. So I kind of thought there's kind of a market for Billy Gilmore in Scotland more so. Yeah. Mason Mount I was very confused on.
Yeah,
Timo Werner
there. Yeah.
Lukaku, it was mad. The dual auto I think was a Ben Chilwell Mason Mount dual auto Prism 1-on-1. So I'm kind of like, you like in days gone past, you could have got 300, 400, 500 for that. Maybe it's a dual auto Prism 1-on-1. You know, it was such a tough deal, and I looked at it and I just said, you know what? There's too many. I don't want to hear people saying, look for Chelsea autos, and you show them like an abundance of them, about 50 of them, and they're like, Kai Havertz, I don't know, like
not those ones.
He won the Champions League, but he's at Arsenal. You know, it was a bit of the thing, but in the end, I had to say, look. I thought I could get about 2.5 for it, maybe. He wanted 2. And I was like, to be honest, to bring it home in the bag, Jason's face, he'll be disgusted. I was like, I think the Kaboom was a Timo Werner. It was just like, it was really good stuff, but it was like clearly someone who bought into a lot of Chelsea breaks. Yeah. And these were the players that no longer played at Chelsea, so he didn't care about them, you know?
Yeah.
But
that's an kind of interesting one as to how you would, I mean, selling it obviously as a lot makes sense. And then in terms of how you kind of, if you had kind of time, or if you had time, and if you're happy to leave the money sitting there, putting them up on an eBay or putting them up on ComC and just letting them drip out over time with a high margin.
I said it was a good pickup. But my issue was there wasn't a lot in there of players that I thought even had potential to pop off eventually. Do you know what I mean? It kind of just felt like Timo Werner's kind of done.
You'd really be just waiting for people.
I was like, Kai Havertz obviously won the Champions League, so there's definitely going to be a collector base for any of his nice cards. And there was a lot of gold selects, green selects, 1-on-1. Like, it was good stuff. But it was just, I couldn't do it in the end. But I felt bad because I gave it a lot of time to go through it. Because I genuinely said, like, oh, this could be good. Like, all the card shows we go to, but I just eventually said, I can't hear someone go, no, not him. Do you know what I mean? Because at the moment,
you can't hear it like 150 more times after that.
And it's like, I don't even need to find one guy who's happy with a Chelsea Timo Werner auto. I needed to find about 7. You know, it was like, no, I can't do this. And to be honest, I think it is very specific to Chelsea because they have had such a merry-go-round recently that there have been so many players that were there and not there and whatever. But I had a great time at the show, Jason. I can't really talk highly of it. The hotel I was put in is the reason I had to take so many taxis. And I just realized as well that all of the taxis went on my personal card, so that was a mess. Even though
make sure you get yourself.
I just seen it because I was like, "Where are these in our bank account?" I was like, "I can't see them," and then I seen my bank, and I said, "Oh, for God's sake!" So but it was a great trip, and I woke up for breakfast each day, which doesn't always happen. The bed in the hotel was immaculate, Jason.
Right. Okay. Well, so if anyone needs any hot breakfast or hot bed tips,
DM me.
I was going to say it is always tough when you spend a long time on a deal. It's tough to walk away, even if because halfway through maybe it starts to dawn and you're like, oh, I don't know if we're going to get this done, but you've already spent half of a long time doing it. So then you're kind of like, is there any way I can make this work? Because I've been sitting here like an awkwardly long
You would have hated
amount of time.
You would have hated seeing me doing it. It was like I rarely spend that kind of time on a deal, but I really thought there was something in there. And then in the end, it was like there's too many players that left, and I can't carry it home if it's also not really worth my time. It's going to be a bit of effort to do it. And I was like, I just can't. I felt bad, but I did say like you got yourself a good deal, because I'm sure he might have got it lower than he said he was getting it as well. He probably got a really good deal on it, and I knew I couldn't pick out the best bits from it, because then that deflates everything else. You can't.
Yes.
It needs to be sold as a lot, but I hope
we actually see that a lot in our sports card in Ireland Facebook group, is people trying to sell things as a lot, and then people saying like, "Can I just have this? Can I just have that?" And one guy recently went crazy. He was like, "No, do not ask me if you want me to break up. Don't ask me for this card. Don't ask me for this card. You have to buy it all if you want it." And there obviously is value there.
Yeah,
in
there's
buying
people
things
that
as a lot, but
if you are not someone that sets up at a show, if you're not someone that has an active eBay or whatever, you don't have sales channels, but you are in the hobby and you do mind to break, so you do open boxes, then you have loads of cards, and you're kind of going, the reason I'm selling this is because I don't sell, so I need it all gone together, because I'm not just going to give you my best bits and just have a load of kind of half-hearted cards kind of left over. You have to take it all, find the value within it, and deal with it. Someone came up to me, this is the last thing I'll say in London, someone came up to me, an older gentleman, opened his bag and goes, "I have these cards, maybe you might be interested in them," and he handed me an entire stack of base Sidemen cards.
Right.
Base from Sidemen Chrome.
Yeah.
And about 5 or 6 top-loaded Sidemen, get the good hits, right? Sidemen loaded. All numbered to 250. Maybe one of them was numbered to 99, maybe. Because I went to see, is there 101 or not 5? Is there anything here?
Yeah.
Without knowing too much about the Sidemen themselves or the market there in terms of the cards. All I know is we have a lot of boxes of it, so I don't particularly sell. Although we sold about 6 boxes at the show. So anyway.
The Sidemen are a funny YouTube group for anyone who doesn't know.
Who got a top scroll.
Yeah.
But anyway, I say this. After handing me the cards, he took them out of like a box that were in a bag. He then closed the box, put it back in his bag, zipped his bag, basically to say like, you're buying these. I'm not putting these back. Oh. So I was there with this big chunk and these cards, and he goes, "What would you give me for them?" And I was like, to be honest, not for me. Not really for me. I don't know what I'm looking at here. I don't know anything about it. I'm not going to. He goes, "Would you give me, £30?" And I was like, I wouldn't. And he was kind of almost trying to intimidate. It was like his never do this at a show, people. He was kind of going like, "I'm just going to stand here until you give me something for this." Is my technique of doing this deal. And it took me about 3 or 4 minutes. And like 3 or 4, like that feels a lot longer in this type of intense situation.
Yeah,
you
kind of have like a single kind of beat of sweat running down your forehead.
You don't want to be telling someone no for 4 minutes. It's not exactly, it's not good. But I eventually got him to just take the cards in his hands and walk away. And he wasn't best pleased. And he kind of looked back at me, gave me a bit of a dirty eye.
I have seen people, like that has happened to me at shows as well, where somebody will come up and say, "What would you give me for this?" And then you kind of like, I've interpreted that question as like, what's your best offer on these things? And I say, I just don't really have one. Like, I just wouldn't be interested. And then they go, "No, what actually is your best?" And it's like, I'm opting out of this. Just because I'm standing here doesn't mean I have to buy your cards.
Yeah, no.
And it's not a good situation. Obviously, sometimes people like really need to move stuff, but it's like,
yeah, and he was like kind of going like, "You do this, like you have a table, like so you can actually sell this. I can't sell this." But it's like, yeah, but I don't want it.
I don't want it. And I don't, like, there isn't an amount that I could give you.
I want to say this was on the Sunday, and I want to say it was kind of towards the end of the show as well. So I was also like, I have to carry all this home, like, and there was a bin right beside us, and I was like, these base cards would be fit for the bin. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
It wasn't a good situation, but I kind of had to stand my ground. I knew what he was trying to do. When I seen him zip away his bag, I was like, this is insane.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good, if you had actually stuff that people were interested in, it's a good technique psychologically to zip the bag up behind you. Like, we're getting
he had some form of sales training. It just wasn't the way I like people approaching me by any mistake. But I had to just say no. There was nothing there for me. I couldn't even work with any of this. It was, but yeah, look, it's not all good at shows. Sometimes it's tough. One kid did come up, Jason, with a trade up challenge, and I think I beat him. That's right. I think I beat the kid. He had a Danny Ings England auto, I want to say from Mosaic, right? England kit. And I traded him a Dirk Kuyt Liverpool lineage auto, and I personally felt like I might have got the better side of that trade up. He was delighted, but I think I won. I think
the last time we were in London, I did a trade up challenge, and I also used a Liverpool lineage card, and the person was, because lineage is kind of a premium looking.
It's premium,
but we have a lot of it, so.
Not anymore, really, to be honest. But
we had a lot of like bits and bobs.
We do. There definitely is some mags everywhere.
Yeah,
I got that Danny Ings auto in an England kit, and I said, I think there's more of a market. I mean, probably not more of a market, but I think it's more of a specific. I think people get a bit excited about Danny Ings in an England kit.
Here's one for you. I know we say, like, we've been saying for the last couple of London shows that people are more willing to sacrifice on their kind of ideal prices on things and to get deals done, and I think that is true. But here's maybe an under-discussed topic. There's a hot take from me. I actually think that the kids doing the trade-up challenges are becoming much less particular about the cards they get. Like they are, I don't know what's happening, but either the kids are getting less sharkish or something's going on. But like 2 years ago, if a kid came to the little card to do the trade-up challenge, like he's coming out the better side of that deal. His dad is standing there and he's not taking no for an answer.
I was about to say, I feel like the trade-up challenges more so are being done by the kids and not the parents these days.
Yeah, that's exactly. It's like
back in the past, kids it was like some dad being like, "Got to get me kid to get me a few cards." And it was
like
miserable.
There's more children now. So like now it's like the child is there, the parent is there, but the parent is just bringing the child. The child is doing it. Whereas beforehand, it was like the child was like, kind of being ventriloquist dummy by the parent, and it's like you're really doing the deal with the parent. But now the kids are in the hobby themselves. They're like those American shark children.
They're getting there. They haven't quite got the heat the American shark children have, but they're definitely
or the wads of bills.
But that's what you have to build up to that. But I do think that takes time. That type of infrastructure takes time. I think we need to wait another 10, 20 years, but we will have kids with Zion cases popping about. Yeah. And I can't wait for it. That's going to be the future, I want to say, Jason.
Yeah. When an American 11-year-old puts a $20 bill in your breast pocket and slaps you on the face, and says, "Be good." Yeah. Anyway, one more thing from London is we saw the debut of 24-25 Topps UCC Showtime, which is their European card show exclusive set. I'll get it up here on the old screen for the viewers. So this is what the design looks like this year. There's a lot of different subsets and a lot of different designs in this one product. Was it well received, Enzo, at London?
Yeah, so I didn't get a chance to go near the Topps table to see the box, but a few people did come up to me with their hits from the box to try and do a trade. And although I didn't accept any of those trades, Jason, because I was busy, I did get a good look at the cards and they looked unreal. I looked at them and said, "Oh, this is the new Showtime." And I just started flicking through and like, this looks deadly. Particularly the second image there, Jason, if you go back, that second image, those cards in hand, I'll show you
these ones?
That one, they look unbelievable. Yeah, there's a nice shine to them, particularly the parallels. I think good.
That's kind of like a Panini treble inspired design, I would say.
Yeah, it's very kind of minimalist in a good way. I really like it. I had an idea, right, Jason? Tell me what you think about this.
Okay, yeah, let's hear it.
Top Showtime. Why are they using the Champions League license?
Talk to me.
Like, could they not? Could they do Top Showtime packs instead of a box and then have multi-license? Because I assume they couldn't do a multi-license product because. I mean, if they could, they would have done it many times ago. Because I was just thinking, like, how amazing would Topps WWE Showtime be, and how well received would that have been at that show?
Yes.
Even cricket. Can you do a multi-sport? I don't think they can do multi-sport, but could you do multi-sport if you sold it by packs and had it be multi-sport? Random packs.
So, like the same way you have Topps Chrome, and then Topps Chrome is done for various different licenses. Expand the Showtime brand to cover other sports.
Yeah.
That'd be quite something, for sure.
Second or maybe, no, this is the third Showtime brand, I think.
Yeah, third.
We've had. So it's like, I had that feeling where I was like, I think WWE was in my head because it just kind of came out, or we just got ours recently anyway. It came out at the end of January, but it was like, how well received would that have been? I think people in the States would have been clamoring for some Showtime WWE, and it would have been like a huge thing. Could you do kind of Disney Showtime? Like why is Showtime Champions League? I think it could genuinely be more fun if you could multi-sport. So I'm gonna raise that question in with a few people that I know on Topps and see what's doable. Obviously, Champions League is the kind of most, especially in Europe, is the best license to use. But I do think there's something there.
And you can use your Champions League at shows in the UK and across Europe as well.
Of course. But I do think,
especially
WWE, because I feel like that also has that global appeal. Imagine like F1 Showtime as well. It's like, come on. Every time you hear it sounds good, Jason. I can see your face.
That's good. No, it's good. I like it.
No, there you go. I'll suggest it. If they're not listening already to this podcast, by the way.
And we can confirm that Showtime 24-25 will be at the Dublin Card Show. That's a question that's been on a lot of people's minds. Topps will be selling Topps UCC Showtime at their top zone at the Dublin Card Show on March 1st.
Yes.
So don't worry. You can get your Showtime there.
I'm excited for that. It's performing well on eBay, obviously, because it's brand new. It's only been at London, I believe. So I think it's €50 a box. I think eBay is about €100 to €90 a box, thereabouts. So if you want to be sharky about it.
I will say as well, I've seen some people, I'm not going to kind of wade in and start defending Top Showtime to the nth degree, but I've seen some people, say like, what's this? Like, who needs this? This is just like, but like, it's, £50. the whole idea of it is that it's for people who are at the event. And because you've already made the effort to go to the event, maybe you don't go to a lot of card shows, maybe you don't buy a lot of boxes. So there's a general public aspect to it, which is it's a great, like, a lot of people say at Dublin, I'm delighted that Showtime is there because it's like you're buying it directly from the manufacturer, which I actually think does help because you don't have to worry about, I don't necessarily know the brands of who are Soccer Cards United, who's Q's Cards, who's King of Hoops. Like, I don't, because you're not in it. So you can go right up to Tops, get a box, and it's cheap and cheerful. I know that's a cliche, but I genuinely do. People don't understand cheap and cheerful as a category. And
last year, our show was in February, and we had just missed it because, again, Showtime falls into the line of being manufactured earlier, same way as kind of a flagship was. Like, this is early compared to last year. So last year we got the very tail end of the previous season. So literally it couldn't have been colder. So now we're getting it at the hot point because we're getting it in time for our show. So I'm delighted for that. I'm delighted for the people in Dublin, and I'm delighted for myself because I'm going to be picking up 2 boxes, Jason. Someone actually who's not able to go to the show for some health reasons asked me, could I get them a box? So we're going to do that, Jason, for them.
Very nice. Okay, let's take a break. Enzo, Beckett, grading company, formerly the king of the graders, now struggling as PSA have dominated the grading space, made a big announcement back at the end of January, which we have yet to cover on the podcast. And that is that they are beating PSA to the punch and opening a grading facility in Europe. Now, we covered the PSA are expanding into Canada, expanding their Japanese operations, expanding into Europe as well.
Opening a PSA have like a German kind of you can send it there and then they send it to America for you. Or
a forwarding office maybe, or whatever you might call it. But Beckett are actually going to be grading from Europe. So I'll read this. This is from 2 weeks ago. Beckett Grading is proud to announce the opening of our new European facility, bringing pristine European cards closer than ever to our coveted black label. European collectors can now enjoy on-site grading and encapsulation in the EU, local convenience, pristine grading closer than ever. To learn more about it. So this is very exciting because often when people ask about grading, they don't want to know. It seems very important to people where the cards are actually being graded. They don't want to just forward them on. Have you ever found this? Like someone says, "How can I get your card graded?" And it's like, send it to a middleman, and they're like, "I don't want to. I want to know where it's graded. I don't want it traveling around the world."
Yeah.
So skip the long transatlantic trips and experience Beckett's world-renowned consistency and accuracy in grading. They're showing some, what is that? Is that Magic the Gathering?
Maybe.
Some sort of TCG and a Max Verstappen tops now. Convenience. No more international shipping. Submit your cards locally and experience an on-site grading process. Closer to pristine European cards have never been closer to our coveted black label. So it's going to be in Germany, yes?
Yep.
And this is, I don't know, is the CCC CSG, is that what they're called? CCG, CSG.
Their biggest issue is their name, to be honest.
Yeah, it's very confusing what they're called, but they're already in Munich in Germany. And you go to a German card show.
Someone's in Belgium? No.
Is it?
Someone in Belgium.
I don't know. Anyway, they have definitely seen some business coming in from Europe, and Beckett are trying that now as well. And how do you think European collectors are going to react?
Reactors.
How do you think European reactors are going to collect to this announcement from Beckett?
I think there's positivity, definitely. But ultimately, it's a move that if it was made 12 months ago would have done a lot for them. I think, to be honest, if it was done 12, like now it's like, as you said, the fact that you're able to say PSA has a forwarding office in Germany, CG, whatever we want to call them, have, whether it's in Germany or Brussels or wherever, I don't know, but they're doing it already. Like you're not even first, so it's kind of like, I don't know, like. Especially because we missed that news because I'm seeing it promoted a lot now. That's how it kind of came across my desk, Jason.
Yes. Yeah.
But like obviously that news probably broke before the PSA news. Like PSA, that could be reactionary if we look at it backwards, do you know?
Yeah.
Like PSA could have said, "Oh geez, we're not going to lose ground to Beckett over there. Now we're going to be doing this." But like, to be honest, my most excitement about Beckett doing it is that I think now PSA have to react genuinely. Yes. So whether it's there's a forwarding office in Germany, but they're probably trying to find where the facility is going to be to do grading. You know what I mean? That's how I feel.
I mean, if you ever need an illustration of how far PSA ahead, how far ahead they are, they had this thing. They changed the wording on their website about the centering. They took something out mentioning centering on their PSA grading guide or something on their website, and a whole section of the hobby went to the meltdown. There was threads about it. There was kind of like people saying, "Here's what this means," to the point where PSA had to clarify that nothing had actually changed. They just slightly changed the language, but it's not a change of policy. It's not like a big...
I thought they changed it from 60-40 to 55-45.
According to this, I'll find it here. It's kind of technical,
that was the rumor going around. Basically, a pristine is a little bit... PSA 10 is a little bit harder to get now because they've changed the centering to be a little bit more centered.
That wasn't... They didn't come out and like announce anything. They just changed some language, and people are so tuned into what PSA are doing that like this like caused a whole ripple of conversation throughout the hobby. Meanwhile, Beckett announced that they are opening on-site grading in Germany, and we completely missed it.
Yeah, for about 2 weeks.
2 weeks. So that'll show you where the two companies are. Here we go. This is a statement from PSA to Collect Media, our friend Ben at Collect Media. PSA confirms there's no change in the standard for centering to earn a PSA 10 despite the removal of the 60-40 threshold from the website. Change here is to make the requirements more clear. Page was updated on the 23rd of January. So let's see this answer from PSA. We did recently update the language around our grading standards on our website to specify that the targeted threshold for centering for a card to qualify for PSA 10 is 55-45. This has long been the ideal centering threshold to achieve a PSA 10 grade, though 60-40 was denoted to factor in that. At the grader's sole discretion, a small variance may be permitted on occasion based on the card's overall eye appeal. To clarify, this variance from 55-45 for PSA 10 can still happen today, again at the individual grader's discretion, and this centering note is denoted on our grading standards page.
Okay, that makes sense.
So they just tried to clear something up that they kind of felt was a bit ambiguous, and then people were like, is this a wholesale change? And they're saying, no, it's not. Anyway, the reaction to that was crazy and showed how far PSA are ahead of everybody else, is my point.
Yeah, definitely.
I just want to bring you some reaction from the comment section of this Instagram post by Beckett. Somebody commented and said, hey guys, let's perhaps work on getting operations in order in America first. Legitimately insulted by this decision as a BGS customer. And then somebody, that's an American guy, somebody responds, we in Europe have been waiting a long time for this. As Europeans, we feel deeply offended by your opinion. Do you not think that the two different submission and grading facilities can operate independently of one another? And then somebody replies back, are you nuts? It takes at least a month longer for us to grade since we are forced to ship to the US. So somebody in America is like, focus on America first, and the Europeans are like, this is complete horseshit. We are starved of this.
You would imagine that by opening a European facility, that would help the American facility tighten up, mainly because, one, they have a blank slate to try and do it right in Europe, but then also they're not going to be juggling European cards. Now, I don't think they juggle too many European cards, to be honest, at the recent history, but I don't think they're necessarily aligned. But I do understand that outrage of kind of like, lads, are a mess over here. How are you expanding your business? But they're expanding because they're a sinking ship. One said they're just building another ship in a different harbor now.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, maybe it can work in Europe for us. Let's build a plan B. Obviously, a question from a lot of collectors in the UK was, how's this going to affect British submitters? Because this is the same thing that happened with the Germany forwarding office PSA, is that because of Brexit, where Britain so wisely chose to leave the European Union, it makes no difference to them basically whether or not they send it to Germany or America from a tax and VAT point of view. I guess there's transatlantic shipping times are in theory longer than shipping times from Germany to the UK, but it's tough for you imagine the European hobby pre-Brexit. Like if Brexit had never happened, I think the European hobby would be in a much, much better place than it is now. Oh, it's definitely slowing us down by a lot.
Yeah, slowing us down because the UK and Germany are the two biggest hobby markets, and they're divided, so it doesn't help.
Yeah, it's really,
like if
really
California and I don't know, Burbank, I don't even know, I'm getting confused. What would you say the two biggest hobby? Because I was going to say New York, but I don't really think New York is necessarily a huge.
Let's say California and Texas.
There you go.
Imagine that. Imagine if you couldn't go to the Burbank card show. Imagine they use different currencies, the Burbank card show and the Dallas card show.
If you couldn't get liquidity the same way you need to get it, it wouldn't be good.
It wouldn't be good. Speaking of liquidity, there's a new design from Topps to talk about.
Liquidness.
After this short break. They don't have a picture of the I have a picture here, but they don't have a picture of the liquid silver on the Topps ripped liquid silver article. Very stupid.
I've seen it somewhere, but
no, I've seen it too, but it's not great. Like, okay, you ready to come back? Yeah. Enzo, that clumsy segue was in relation to liquid silver, which is a new innovation from the boffins at Tops.
A new card tech, new printing tech, new visual tech.
Yeah. So you thought, refractors were cool. You thought, what are those ones called that you move them and they...
Ray wave. Oh,
No, not
lenticle.
ray wave.
Lenticular.
Lenticular. Yeah. This is something else entirely. This is liquid silver. Let me read you the Tops ripped glossary definition of liquid silver. First introduced in the 2024 Diamond Icon set. That's a baseball set for anyone who doesn't know. Liquid silver represents a breakthrough in card design, blending artistry with cutting-edge innovation. Liquid silver card technology from Topps combines sculpted elements, Fresnel lens effects, and holographic patterns to create visually stunning and tactile cards. The technology seamlessly aligns embossed designs with intricate patterns, including radial and linear effects, offering a visual depth never seen before in the hobby. This exclusive card technology elevates metallic substrates into a multidimensional experience, making it a must-have for collectors seeking unique, visually captivating additions to their collections. Enzo, would you like to see a picture of a liquid silver card?
Yeah, I would love to be at a show or in a shop and have someone say, "Now, what's inside this diamond box I'm trying to chase?" And I could give them that definition.
Have you heard of liquid silver? Have you got 15 minutes? There you go. Look at that. Whoa.
Oof.
Pretty crazy, man.
I think this is one you have to have in hand, Jason. You can't. I don't think you can look at it. I don't think you can look at an image or a scan and get the depth or get the shine. I don't know. I see a lot going on here,
Yes.
but I do think they look good. I'm joking aside. I think they look good, and I also think it kind of shows where Fanatics are in their kind of stage of development, that they're fully in innovation mode as opposed to all of the other modes. They're very much like, right, we're at the cutting edge now. We're at the top of the mountain. We have all of this stuff. How do we continue to make it better? A lot of people are complaining, saying like, you just keep creating gimmicks to chase and this, that, and the other. But ultimately, it's like they could create 5 versions of this type of innovation, and 4 of them can fully flop, and one of them can be a quote unquote panini kaboom, and suddenly the hobby changes forever, kind of thing. So I'm not against it. I don't hate it. I understand if everything's a 101, nothing's a 101 kind of thing. But I also think Panini creating a Nebula choice didn't ruin Black Prism, and then also created another thing that was actually desirable long term. So I don't see negativity around it. It looks mental. There's a liquid gold as well, not just liquid silver. So
yes,
I mean, like, I look at this and I don't know anything, I don't feel anything because it's baseball. But I kind of think of like, right, are they going to make one in soccer? I'm sure they will now that they have the tech. How rare are they going to make them? Like, if you make these super, super rare to hit, suddenly they're kind of important. If you say this tech looks so good, we should have one in every second pack, what are we doing?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they're tough chases to hit in Diamond Baseball based on my very brief looking at that when it came out.
Yeah.
But I need to look at the numbers again, but I think it is fairly hard to hit. At least one of them is. Maybe the gold is harder than the silver. I don't know. But I think I need to hold it in hand. I couldn't judge based on that photo.
This could be one of these things that is like, oh, but wait till you see it in hand, which is actually one of my favorite kinds of cards. When you see a card and you go, oh, yes.
The Idols. Like, that was kind of a similar card. Yes. They had the bronze, the silver, the gold of them. This looks totally different. This looks a bit mental. Like, looking at that image there, like, all of the different tech at the same time almost makes it look kind of comic booky. Even though in hand, I'm sure it won't look at that. It'll be super shiny. But like, that looks like kind of a comic book design vibe.
Yeah, because it's kind of a mixture of, according to this definition, there actually are kind of like tactile elements. Like, some of it is about the texture of it, and then some of it is about the kind of the new shiny technology they came up with.
But need to see it in hand. Did you see they had the Paul Skeens debut patch at a pre-Super Bowl party?
I didn't see that, no.
Yeah, mental. They were doing little photo shoots with it.
Just on the liquid silver thing and the need for Topps to innovate, I do think, like, Topps, if they're getting all of these licenses, if they're going to be the soccer manufacturers and the basketball manufacturers and the baseball manufacturers and the American football manufacturers, they do need to come up with new stuff. Like, there needs to be variety. There needs to be like constant new stuff, because they can't rely on Panini, to kind of like balance out. Like, they can't give each other ideas anymore. So I think we are going to have to see more new ideas from Topps, because they're going to have to figure out a way to differentiate every product from each other, because they're going to be doing basically every product.
Yeah, when you look at them, Jason, that ties into like them getting the Premier League license. Like, if you look at, you have Premier League, you have the Man City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, and Man United license.
Yeah,
and you have the Champions League license and all UEFA Euro competition licenses.
Yes.
if everything looks the same, it's gonna look the same kind of thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like if you're doing
yeah,
Topps Chrome Premier League, then you're doing Topps Chrome Champions League, you might do maybe a Topps Chrome Liverpool the way they've done in the past. I don't know if that'll go back, but like if it's not distinctively different, because oftentimes they use the same designs or whatever. I'm sure they'll differentiate it this year. I don't really know like when they do it, but yeah, you need stuff like this to kind of, what are you chasing? You know, there's a De Bruyne silver factor here.
You can find liquid silvers in Premier League Chrome, but you can't find them in UCC Chrome or whatever it may be.
Maybe. But yeah, for me, it just speaks to the need to innovate and the position they're in, that they're putting funds and efforts towards innovating because they're already kind of at the top, or at least already looking forward to what's going to be, you know?
Yeah. Like, it is kind of like a situation which I don't think we've had before, certainly as long as we've been in the hobby, to have one manufacturer with so many of these licenses. So like, they are going to have to, they obviously recognize that kind of R&D is going to play a big part in this. And they're going to have almost like, whereas before you had like your external differences, like, well, we're not Panini, you're going to have to define the differences internally now, because if you do have Chrome Bundesliga and Chrome Premier League and Chrome UCC and Chrome Football and Chrome Basketball and Chrome Baseball, you know,
Chrome F1.
Chrome F1, yeah.
Garbage Pail Kids Chrome.
Chrome Garbage Pail Kids, and you know,
Disney Chrome, Marvel Chrome,
Disney Chromes, your Marvel Chromes, your X-Men Chromes.
Chrome stops meaning, but I don't know. Would Prism stop meaning stuff? I don't think it does. I think it's, I don't know. Do you think, Jason? This is obviously I'm segueing here. You might not like this, but do you think when they get the NFL and NBA license proper, because we're seeing a variety of football and variety of basketball products, but not a significant amount of either.
Yeah.
Compared to, you know, a soccer license or a baseball license, particularly. Do you think soccer is going to go back on the back burner in terms of, will we get our flagship roughly around the same time next year, now that they have basketball license, I think, kicking in October? Or maybe it will happen immediately, maybe in 2 years' time. Like, do you think they'll expand their printing capabilities? That way they can be on time all the time? Or do you think NBA and football are going to take extreme precedent, and it might fall into kind of a Panini model where it's like, listen, we have all this basketball and all this football, and now they have baseball, obviously. We're doing all that. Soccer, whatever about soccer, like, don't worry about that.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I hope not.
Certainly none of the kind of signals they're currently sending out points that way. I mean, they're kind of very bullish, you might say, on their push towards soccer, on their push towards the international market. But it does seem like they're going to have to expand their capacity and their production capabilities massively. And it's hard to see how soccer doesn't kind of become, you know,
the low-hanging fruit in that.
Yeah, but then in fairness, they do realize that if they want to grow, they have to grow internationally. And you look at, like, speaking of the Super Bowl, I think the Messi's Inter Miami crew went to the Super Bowl, and like people were comparing their combined Instagram following, and you know, to like, so they recognize that soccer, I think, is a huge sport. But it is going to be interesting to see how all these sports start to interplay with each other, and where soccer ends up in the pecking order. Because in my opinion, it should be right up there.
I honestly think Fanatics could get this done, but not necessarily that it'd be easy to do. But I would just love a multi-license sport product. Do you know what I mean? Like, if anyone could do it, I think Fanatics could. You get the Premier League, the NBA, the NFL, the MLB to just agree to all be shared in a product? Because that would be literally insane.
I think maybe I can see a collaboration happening between a soccer product and another American product. I think the NBA, the NFL, and the MLB all hate each other.
I would imagine they do, because they're competing for
the same audience, and just kind of have long-standing kind of gripes with each other, I think. But certainly, like, it does seem like soccer and basketball is right there for a crossover. You know,
NFL, all the European kind of regular season games that you have going on, they probably would love to collaborate with the Bundesliga, Jason.
Yeah, you know, you get your Antoine Griezmann and your Victor Wembanyama in there, and you're off to a flyer.
That's right. It says a lot that we mentioned all the Chromes and didn't say Bundesliga Chrome. But it also tells you how much of a non-thorn in the side it was this year, Jason. Bundesliga Chrome came and went and was generally well received.
Well received within Germany, which is what it was always supposed to be.
Because like normally we'd be sitting here with mountains of Bundesliga Chrome, we'd be on in this Bundesliga Chrome.
Just out of the frame, you would see all this Bundesliga Chrome,
And now, gentlemen, is there any other business?
I've been reflecting a lot, Jason, for the last few weeks. Like, it's been a long 4 to 5 years, Jason, that we've seen a lot. A lot has happened. I feel like we've seen a lot come and go, come and change. More changes coming, no doubt about it. Excited for Dublin, which is coming up in 2 weeks' time, pretty much, Jason.
Let's do a quick Dublin card show update before we wrap up. You can go ahead and tell the people where we're at.
I'm going to pull up the exact attendee sale ticket number as of the recording of this podcast.
Okay.
2,116 attendees.
Wow.
That doesn't include family and friends, which I don't know about you, Jason. A few people have told me, I want a ticket before it sells out. Don't forget to get me my free ticket. I'm a family member. I'm a friend.
I've had that too.
So, we have them in reserve, so there'll be extra. But yeah, we're looking... The venue is cautious about 3,000 people. They don't really want 3,000, although I think once we chat to them about the floor plan, we might be able to get there. But roughly, we're at 21 and 25, 26 is kind of sellout.
Yeah.
So we're basically going to
if you're sleeping on getting a ticket, get your ticket.
Oh, please don't.
No.
Last year was between 1,200 and 1,500, just for anyone that was there and is listening to this. So you're pretty much going to experience last year with double the attendees.
Mm-hmm.
And an hour cut off the top of the show. So it should kind of be a bit mental. There's still a bit of unknown for us, Jason, in that regard. It could be a bit mental, but I think it'll be fine. We have a spacious venue.
It's going to be really good. Yeah,
I'm concerned about the hot food. We've added hot food this year, Jason. I'm a bit concerned because we're not in the kitchen cooking it, and I don't love venue food in general. And I feel like in Europe, particularly, people are really rating the venue food. So I'm a bit concerned about that. We tried to make it as neutral food as we could, but I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a bit concerned about the hot food options. Last year we kept it cold food, which no one complained about, but I do like hot food at a show.
Well, Enzo, my stance on this, which is I think that I'm kind of mean when it comes to this. I think like you're in Dublin city centre, there's a million places around. If you can't type in place to get lunch in your Google Maps thing and go and get lunch wherever you want, use your lanyard to get back in. If you can't do that, I don't have any pity for you.
For attendees, that's fine. I'm talking about the vendors. I care.
Vendors are at work. Vendors are at work. When I go to work and I'm at a card show, I just eat whatever I eat to keep me going.
That's right. It's not glamorous. It's just
you're at work. Yeah. So just get over it.
Jason, wow.
Now, why am I so resentful of the food thing? I don't know. It just maybe I'm on too much cold and flu medication.
Oh my God.
But I think I would describe myself as triggered in that moment.
Yeah. Sorry.
We do have more vendors as well than last year.
Yeah, more vendors, more internationals.
Yeah.
You were just on Sports Card Nonsense, Jason.
Yes.
You really represented us well over there, so I'll appreciate you that.
A triumphant return.
Triumphant return, no doubt. I think you really played the crowd well. You got both of the boys on side. It was brilliant. It was fantastic. You knew your stuff.
Thank you.
Kimmy Antonelli, you were ready to go, Jason. You were ready to go.
Yeah. I think Sports Card Nonsense is the only place where I'm considered to be an F1 expert.
But in fairness, you're exposed enough to it that you're solid. The season started again in March. I cannot wait. Jesse is going to come. So from the Sports Card Nonsense, he's actually coming. Right. He has made the effort to make the trip by himself. With his family. But in terms of, he's just said he's coming. He knows when the date is, and he said I'm going to be there. And we thoroughly appreciate that. And all of the American friends that are coming, because there is a small cohort again this year. I'm getting
a lot of people talking about flying in for one day. That's one of the great things about being in this part of the world and being relatively close to the airport, is that you can do a one day or no problem. So we're getting a lot of texts in the last week or so from people in the UK, especially telling us they're flying in, doing a one day job, which is absolutely doable, and what a day it'll be.
Yep.
If you're a vendor or a ticket holder, you'll be receiving your first of many emails today, as you hear this, with some information. And I think that's us.
Yeah, that is us. I'm excited, Jason. There's still a bit of prep work to do. We're still waiting on extra lanyards, because we had 1,000-something lanyards, and now I realize that there's 2,000-something people. So I've ordered more lanyards. I don't know if they'll arrive on time. I need to pick Harry's brain from the London Card Show to get lanyard advice, because his ones are so good.
Who's his lanyard guru? And
who's his lanyard? I'm going to get some points of Guinness into him, Jason, at a trade night, and ask him to please disclose that to me.
Yeah.
Still
maybe protective of his lanyard.
I know. I hope he's not. I really hope. I don't think towards me. I think he's good with me. He'll be nice. I won't expose any. I won't tell anyone else where we're getting these lanyards from. We're still waiting on some staff T-shirts and stuff like that, Jason. But look, this is what happens. Cupcakes as well, but that's for trade night cupcakes.
This really is an on-air production meeting now.
Trade night cupcakes, Jason. I have to book them by the end of the week, but they are happening. Yeah, trade night only, people. The Friday trade night, we need to still message people for that. I keep telling people it's going to be Monday of any given week, and we're keep getting it.
Monday's passed.
Monday keeps on passing, but we're busy. Yeah. We're busy guys. A lot of stuff happening, but I don't know. I'm just excited, Jason. I hope that you can recover well. I hope you can
This has gone on a bit long to the point where I may have to go and see a doctor. We're at that kind of stage.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the podcast.
No.
50 minutes in. Because at the start, you made me say it's going to be a short show, Jason. And here we are 50 minutes in.
Yeah.
You're telling me about your health issues. I don't recall asking. Are you serious that you have to be there on the day of the show. So you go to that doctor, Jason. We don't have medical here.
Whatever he wants to juice, or she wants to juice me up with, I'm happy to do it in the name of performance. I can play like Luis Suarez with injections in my knee.
Suarez
through the card show. We can do the surgery after the season's over.
Oh my God.
Okay, we're back next Wednesday. Have a good week, everyone.